The flowers were the first thing I saw. White lilies rested against my ex-husband's chest, as if he had come to apologize at a funeral. Grant stood outside Evergreen Trauma Center in the same navy coat he used to wear to parent-teacher conferences, calm enough to make everyone else look unreasonable. My daughter stopped so suddenly that her shoulder struck mine. "Maya," he said softly, "I only need 5 minutes." In his other hand was a signed court order I had never personally seen. Maya's fingers went white around the clinic tablet while I called my brother. "Tell me you did not give him the appointment," Owen answered with a tired exhale. "He said he wanted closure, Claire. Let them speak for 5 minutes." Across the lobby, Maya stared at the secure message panel. Dr. Avery had shown her 2 weeks earlier. She did not cry or move toward me. Her thumbs began to type. "Can we use the blank page?" Dr. Avery read the message and stepped into the lobby. "Everyone stop talking," she said. Later, inside a consultation room, the clinic director placed a proxy activity report on the table. "Mrs. Dawson, your daughter's appointment was opened 3 nights ago through a family account." I already knew whose name she was about to say. What I did not know was that the schedule was not the only thing my brother had given my ex. Before I tell you how we reached that lobby, I hope you are doing well wherever you are listening from. Stay with me, and please subscribe to the channel so you do not miss what happened when my daughter finally saw the words that had been written under her name. Just after midnight the night before, I woke to the soft metallic click of our front door lock. The clock read 12:17. I lay still long enough to hear the deadbolt turn, pause, and turn back. It was the 3rd time that night. I found Maya standing in the dark hallway wearing jeans, a gray sweatshirt, and her school sneakers. She kept one hand on the lock while she looked through the narrow window beside the door. "Is that Mr. Hanley's car?" she asked. She did not say she was afraid. Maya almost never named fear directly anymore. She asked about license plates, shadows, doors, and how long a car had been parked in one place. I opened the doorbell camera app and enlarged the unfamiliar sedan beneath the streetlight. The first 3 characters on the plate did not match the number I had saved for Grant's vehicle. "It is not his," I said. Maya studied my face before she looked back at the screen. She trusted evidence more than reassurance, and Grant had taught her to distrust both. "You are sleeping in your clothes again," I said. "They are comfortable." Her sweatshirt still carried a faint streak of dried clay. She had stopped attending her after-school ceramics workshop 3 weeks earlier, even though it had once been the only place where she forgot to watch the exits. "I could go back next month," she said. "Miss Park saved my shelf." "That sounds good. I cannot sit at the wheel near the windows." "You do not have to. The other seat has the door behind it." She was not deciding whether she still liked ceramics. She was calculating whether she could shape a bowl without seeing the exit. "We can ask Miss Park to move a table," I said. "I do not want everyone changing things because of me. It would be 1 table." She looked down at her shoes. "Maybe after tomorrow." Tomorrow was her first in-person appointment at Evergreen. We had spent months getting close to it, then backing away. Maya had completed 2 video sessions with Dr. Helen Avery. But entering the clinic brought the same questions. Who would see her name? Who could read what she wrote? Would Grant know where she was? I never promised the appointment would fix her. I only said it might help her sleep without listening for a car that was not there. The next morning, Dr. Avery called for one final video check. Maya sat beside me at the kitchen table, while rain traced thin lines down the window. Dr. Avery did not ask what Grant had done. She explained what her job was and what it was not. "I am your treating therapist," she said. "I am not the court's reunification evaluator. I will not decide where you live or whether you see anyone. There are limits to privacy, especially if I believe someone is in immediate danger. Would writing those limits down be easier?" Maya typed yes into the secure chat. "What should we do if speaking becomes difficult during the appointment?" Dr. Avery asked. I started to answer. "She usually needs a minute, and then I can explain what she is trying to. Dr. Avery lifted one hand gently. Claire, let us give Maya time to choose. Heat rose into my face. I had spent nearly 2 years trying to stop other people from speaking over my daughter, yet helping her had become so automatic that I had not noticed myself doing it. Maya watched me, then lowered her eyes to the keyboard. Can we use the blank page? If you use that phrase, Doctor? Avery said, everyone stops asking questions aloud. Nobody answers for you. You can write, type, or decide not to answer. You can also choose who stays in the room. Is that what you mean? Maya typed yes. Dr. Avery asked what Maya wanted from treatment. Maya rested her fingers on the keys for almost a minute before one sentence appeared. I want to stop listening for his car. I kept my hands folded so I would not reach for hers before she asked. Owen called after the session. My brother had helped us through the first chaotic months after we left Grant. He had driven Maya to appointments and completed forms while I met with attorneys. Trusting him had once felt as ordinary as trusting the floor. Do you need me to drive you tomorrow? He asked. No, I have it handled. What about the insurance authorization? Evergreen confirmed it. And Owen, the appointment is private. Please do not discuss it with Mom or anyone else. He was quiet long enough for me to hear the turn signal in his car. Maya cannot build her whole life around being afraid, he said. She is trying to get help. I know. I am only saying that avoiding everything connected to Grant might be making it worse. My grip tightened around the phone. Dr. Avery is her therapist. She is not arranging a family meeting. I did not say she was. His defensiveness arrived too quickly, but I pushed the feeling aside. Owen had been there when we left. He had carried Maya's backpack to his car while I searched for birth certificates with shaking hands. I told myself he was clumsy with words, not unsafe. A notification appeared on my laptop after we hung up. Evergreen had received an additional family history document. I assumed it was an insurance attachment or one of the custody pages Owen had helped upload months earlier, so I marked it to review later. That evening, while Maya placed her clay tools into a canvas pouch to use as something familiar to hold during the appointment, my phone lit with a message from Owen. Still 3 o'clock tomorrow? I read it twice. I had told him the appointment was Thursday. I had never told him it was at 3. I opened Evergreen's portal and searched for the proxy management page. The screen asked for a password I had not used since the winter we left Grant. After 3 failed attempts, the account locked me out. Across the table, Maya looked up. Is something wrong? I am checking who can still see your appointments. Her hand stopped above the zipper. For the first time that night, I wondered whether the person I had trusted to help us leave had never truly believed we had the right to stay gone. By Thursday morning, I had convinced myself that Owen, knowing the appointment time, could still have an innocent explanation. Maybe I had mentioned 3 o'clock during one of the insurance calls he helped me make. Maybe Mom had seen it on the kitchen calendar before I stopped leaving important things where other people could read them. The explanations were thin, but I had lived for years by making thin explanations carry more weight than they should. Maya sat at the breakfast table with a piece of toast untouched beside her. Rain softened the view through the window, but she kept looking at a silver SUV parked near the corner. That one has been there since 7, she said. It belongs to the woman who rents the yellow house. She works nights. Maya nodded without turning away. She had learned the neighborhood through license plates, work schedules, and the direction each car faced when it parked. At 14, she could tell me which neighbor left before sunrise and which delivery driver always took the wrong turn. She called it noticing things. I knew it was the part of her that never stopped standing guard. Grant had once praised that part of her. The first time he asked Maya where I had gone after work, she was 12. I had stopped at a coffee shop with a coworker after a late inventory meeting. Grant called while I was driving home and asked why my location had been turned off. I told him my battery was nearly dead and ended the call before he could turn the explanation into an interrogation. When I walked into the house, Maya was waiting in the hallway. "Did you go to the coffee place on 6th?" she asked. I smiled because I thought she was asking whether I had brought her anything. For about 20 minutes. Her shoulders relaxed. Grant appeared behind her with a dish towel over one hand. "See? That is how families stay safe. We pay attention to one another." He kissed the top of Maya's head and thanked her for being responsible. She smiled as if she had passed a test. Later, I learned he had asked her to watch the map on our shared family account. He told her my phone sometimes gave him the wrong information and that she could help by noticing where I went, who I mentioned, and whether I seemed upset when I came home. He never called it spying. He called it caring. At first, Maya believed him. If I went to the grocery store after work, she mentioned it casually at dinner. If I took a call in the backyard, she asked who it was. Grant rewarded her with approval that looked harmless from the outside. He told her she was observant, mature, and good at keeping the family together. Whenever I objected, he made me sound cruel. "She is asking because she loves you," he would say. "Why are you making her feel ashamed for caring?" I started giving shorter answers because every answer became another question. Then I started hiding harmless things because I could not bear having them examined. Grant used the secrecy he created as proof that I was untrustworthy. The memory stayed with me as I placed a mug of tea beside Maya's elbow. She finally looked away from the SUV. "Dr. Avery cannot tell him everything, right?" she asked. "She cannot simply call him and repeat what you say," I told her. "But she explained that there are limits. If she believes you or someone else is in immediate danger, she may have to get help. There can also be legal questions because you are a minor, but she is supposed to explain those before sharing anything." Maya picked at the edge of her toast. "So, there is still a way he could know." "There are situations where information can be requested, but that does not mean he gets every private thing you say." I wanted to promise that no word would ever leave the room. A clean promise would have been easier. Grant had trained us to fear uncertainty, then offered control as the cure. I could not protect Maya by giving her another certainty that might not be true. She glanced at the clock. "What if I do not want to answer something?" "Then you do not answer." "What if that makes it look like you told me not to?" Our custody case had taught me that every ordinary act could be translated into evidence. A missed call became interference. A frightened child became influence. A boundary became hostility. Even after the final parenting plan limited Grant to supervised contact, I still imagined strangers weighing my tone and the number of seconds I took before letting Maya speak. "That is for the adults to sort out," I said. "You are not responsible for making my choices look good." She studied my face. "Could you get in trouble if I say I do not want to see him?" "No." The answer came too quickly. I softened my voice. "Your feelings are not a punishment for me. You do not have to say yes to protect me." I believed the principle. I was still learning not to fear what other people might do with it. The moment I understood what Grant had done to her came in December 2024. I found Maya sitting on the floor beside her bed with her phone in both hands. Her face was wet, but she was crying without sound. A message to Grant waited unfinished on the screen. Mom went to the pharmacy after work. She talked to Annalise in the parking lot for 9 minutes. I sat beside her. "Why are you sending him this?" She tried to erase the message, but her fingers shook. "Dad said I had to tell him where you went, or he would make sure I never saw you again." For several seconds, I heard only the hum of the heater. I had spent years asking whether Grant's behavior was controlling enough or serious enough to justify breaking our family apart. In that moment, the question disappeared. He had made our daughter believe access to her mother depended on reporting me accurately. I took the phone from her and deleted the message. "You are not in trouble," I said, "but he will know I did not send it. That is my responsibility. He said you make bad choices when nobody watches you." The words were too polished to belong to her. That was how Grant worked. He placed his language inside someone else, then waited for it to return sounding like agreement. I called Owen 2 weeks later, after I had hidden copies of our birth certificates and spoken with an attorney. He arrived before dawn on January 18th, with coffee, moving boxes, and the old pickup he used for home projects. He did not ask whether I was sure. He carried Maya's backpack to the truck and stood between Grant and the front door while I gathered our documents. "You are doing the right thing," he told me when my hands would not stop shaking. Those words were one reason I trusted him, long after I should have checked where that trust still gave him access. Yet as Owen tightened the straps over our boxes, he looked toward the house and said, "Grant needs to understand what he has done. At some point, you cannot keep communicating through lawyers. All of you will have to sit in one room." "I am not asking him to understand today," I said. "I am asking him to let us leave." Owen nodded because the truck was packed, and there was nothing left to discuss. At 10:42 on Thursday morning, Maya carried her bowl to the sink and rinsed it even though she had barely eaten. She checked the silver SUV once more before pulling on her jacket. My phone vibrated as we stepped onto the porch. The email came from my attorney, Melissa Ward. A signed order regarding the reunification readiness process had arrived electronically the previous evening. She had not reviewed it with me yet, but she wanted to discuss it after Maya's appointment. I read the message twice, while rain gathered along the roof. Maya watched my face. "Is it about Dad?" "Yes. It is about a future evaluation. It does not change what today is supposed to be." She tightened her grip on her bag. I locked the door behind us and told myself the same thing again. Today was supposed to belong to Maya. I read Melissa's email once more before pulling away from the curb. A signed order had arrived. It concerned a future reunification readiness evaluation, but Melissa had not reviewed the language yet. She would call after Maya's appointment. Nothing in the message said Grant could attend Evergreen. Nothing said he could appear at Maya's private treatment session. Even so, the word signed sat in my mind like a stone. Maya watched the rain move across her window. Does he know about today? He should not. That is not the same as no. I tightened my hands around the steering wheel. You are right, I am going to check. The portal had locked me out after my failed password attempts, and the reset link had not arrived. I could call Evergreen, but I did not want to discuss access permissions through the car speakers with Maya listening beside me. 25 minutes separated our house from the clinic. It felt longer that afternoon because every traffic light gave me time to remember another permission I had signed while leaving Grant. During the first months after our separation, paperwork had seemed to reproduce whenever I slept. Insurance forms arrived beside temporary parenting orders. School records needed new contact lists. Clinics wanted signatures, identification, policy numbers, and explanations for why Maya startled whenever someone asked for her father's address. Owen had handled what I could not. He drove Maya to a pediatric appointment when I had to meet my attorney. He called the insurance company after they rejected a trauma assessment. He uploaded identification documents and corrected a scheduling error that would have delayed care for 6 weeks. At the time, giving him portal access had felt practical. I remembered signing a family proxy form at a clinic desk while Maya slept with her head against my shoulder. I had also listed Owen as an emergency contact. Those were 2 different permissions. I knew that now. One allowed staff to call him, if they could not reach me. The other allowed him to view parts of Maya's account. I had never thought to revoke the second one. Trust was the reason, but exhaustion had helped. Once a crisis passed, I rarely reopened the systems built during it. I changed the house locks and school pickup list. I changed our phone plan and removed Grant from the shared location account. I did not remember every digital door I had opened for the people who helped us escape. Before we reached downtown Tacoma, Owen's name appeared on the dashboard. I pulled into the parking lot of a small grocery store and stopped beneath a dripping cedar tree before answering. Maya saw the name on the screen. Are you going to answer? I think I should. I turned off the car speakers and lifted the phone only after the engine was in park. Hey, Owen said. Traffic hummed behind his voice. I wanted to make sure you saw the insurance authorization. We have authorization. Good. Is this Avery woman going to review the full family history before she starts? I looked at Maya. She had turned toward the rain again, but I knew she was listening. Dr. Avery is treating Maya. She is not reviewing our custody dispute. She cannot treat a child without understanding both parents. She can understand that Grant is her father without inviting him into the room. I did not say anything about inviting him. It was the same quick denial he had given me the day before. I lowered my voice. Did you upload something to Maya's portal? A pause followed. Not long enough to sound like uncertainty, but long enough to feel chosen. I helped complete the background information. What does that mean? It means the clinic should not begin with the assumption that everything Grant says is manipulation. My chest tightened. What did you send? Context. That is not an answer. You have spent nearly 2 years building walls around Maya, Claire. I understand why you left. I helped you leave. But avoiding every person and place connected to Grant has not made her less afraid. She is going to a trauma center today. That is not avoidance. It is if the treatment only teaches her that fear should control every decision. Rain thickened against the windshield. Maya's reflection hovered in the passenger window, still and pale. Did you access the appointment? I asked. I checked that the paperwork was complete. You knew the exact time. I have helped with her appointments for almost 2 years. That does not answer the question either. Owen sighed. I am trying to make sure the therapist hears more than one version of what happened. She is not a custody evaluator. Every professional says they want the whole picture, until one parent decides what the picture is allowed to include. His words sounded prepared. I could not tell whether he had practiced them alone or with someone else. Do not contact Evergreen again, I said. Do not upload anything else. Do not access the appointment. I am not your enemy. Then stop acting behind my back. I am acting because you will not listen to anyone who disagrees with you. The sentence landed with the familiar precision of Grant's language. He had often claimed disagreement was the true injury. If I objected to being followed, I was refusing communication. If Maya cried, I was teaching fear. If I asked for privacy, I was creating secrecy. I have to go, I said. Claire, wait. I ended the call. For a moment, neither Maya nor I spoke. Cars passed on the wet road beyond the lot. Was he angry? She asked. He was defensive. About me? About a document he uploaded. Maya looked down at the canvas pouch in her lap. Her clay tools clicked softly inside it. What did it say? I do not know yet. Then why are we still going? The question held no accusation. That made it harder to answer. I turned toward her. Because this appointment belongs to you, not to Owen. But we can go home right now, if that is what you want. Her eyes moved to the grocery store entrance, the parked cars, and the road behind us. She was measuring the safest choice, not the easiest one. If we cancel, does he get to say I refused? I do not care what he says. You do? She was right. I cared because courts, therapists, relatives, and teachers could be persuaded by a calm voice and a complete sentence. Grant knew that. Owen did too, even if he did not recognize what he was helping. I care about what people might do with his words, I admitted. But that cannot become the reason you go inside. Maya unzipped the canvas pouch and touched the rounded wooden handle of one of her clay tools. I want to go back to ceramics, she said. I know. I cannot keep leaving everything. No. She took a slow breath. Then we go. The password reset had arrived while we were parked. I entered the verification code and opened Maya's account before restarting the car. The proxy page listed Owen as active. Beneath the appointment tab, an entry showed that a document had been uploaded on October 12th under Patient and Family Provided History. The mobile screen did not show the author or the document itself, only the date and a notice that the material had been received for pre-visit review. I called the clinic from the parked car. A recorded message said the intake staff were assisting patients and asked me to leave a voicemail. "This is Claire Dawson," I said after the tone. "My daughter Maya has a 3 o'clock appointment with Dr. Avery. A family proxy may have uploaded information without my approval. Please do not treat any outside document as my consent, and please call me before anyone else is allowed to participate." Maya watched me end the message. Can he see what I write to Dr. Avery? Owen cannot see the private therapist chat. His access is supposed to be for schedules, insurance, and documents. Supposed to be. I am revoking it today. Her fingers tightened around the pouch again. After the appointment? As soon as we arrive. Only then did I start the car and wait until she fastened her seatbelt before pulling back onto the road. The road narrowed as we approached the neighborhood around Evergreen. The clinic occupied a renovated brick building beside a dental office and a small church. I had chosen it because it did not look like a hospital. Maya had said the front windows made it easier to breathe. A dark sedan turned ahead of us and disappeared into the clinic's parking lot. For half a second, I thought it looked like Grant's car. Then I told myself I was borrowing Maya's vigilance because Owen's call had frightened me. We reached the entrance 12 minutes early. I parked near the far end of the lot, so Maya would not feel trapped between vehicles. She opened her door, then stopped with one foot on the pavement. "Mom." Grant's car stood 3 spaces from the entrance. I followed her gaze toward the covered walkway. He stepped away from the brick wall wearing his navy coat. White lilies rested in one hand. In the other, he held a court order. For one suspended second, neither Maya nor I moved. Rain tapped against the roof of the car while Grant waited beneath the covered walkway. The white lilies in his left hand were wrapped in brown paper, their petals too bright against his navy coat. In his right hand, he held several pages clipped together. He looked exactly as he had at school meetings and holiday dinners. Composed, patient, prepared to let everyone else become emotional first. Maya pulled her foot back into the car. "We can leave," I said. Her eyes remained fixed on Grant. "He saw us. That does not mean we have to go inside." She gripped the canvas pouch of clay tools against her stomach. Coming to Evergreen had been her choice. Leaving had to remain one too. Grant began walking toward us. I locked the doors. He stopped beside the hood instead of approaching Maya's window. Even that felt deliberate. He wanted anyone watching to see a father maintaining a respectful distance. "Maya," he called through the rain. "I only need 5 minutes." Her body went rigid. She did not cry or turn toward me. Her chin lowered slightly, and her fingers closed around the pouch until the wooden tools pressed against the canvas. 5 minutes. Grant had used those words before checking my phone, before asking Maya where I had been, and before closing a bedroom door so nobody could leave until he felt understood. I started the engine again. Maya placed one hand over mine before I could shift into reverse. "I want to go inside," she whispered. "You do not have to prove anything." "I know." Her voice barely reached me, but the answer was hers. I turned off the engine. We waited until Grant stepped back toward the walkway, then got out on the far side of the car. I kept myself between him and Maya as we crossed the parking lot. Grant held out the flowers. "I brought these for you," he said. Maya looked at the lilies without taking them. "I did not know you would be here," she said. It was the first time she had spoken directly to him in months. Grant smiled as though the sentence itself were an invitation. "I know this is a surprise. That is why I came somewhere safe." He lifted the document in his other hand. The court approved a reunification, readiness evaluation. I have every right to participate. "No provider has been selected," I said. "Evergreen is Maya's trauma clinic. The judge signed this 2 weeks ago. My attorney received it last night." "Then perhaps your attorney should have informed you." He said it gently, almost sympathetically. The old instinct to defend my competence rose before I recognized it. Grant did not need to prove I was unstable. He only needed me to sound less reasonable than he did. I opened the clinic door and guided Maya inside. The lobby smelled faintly of coffee and cedar cleaner. A receptionist looked up from behind the curved wooden desk. She recognized Maya's name from the appointment list and handed her a tablet to complete check-in. Grant entered behind us. "I am here for the Dawson reunification assessment," he said. The receptionist glanced at me. "Mrs. Dawson? There is no joint assessment scheduled today. My daughter has a private intake with Dr. Avery." Grant placed the first page of the order on the desk and pointed to a highlighted paragraph. "This authorizes the parties to begin a reunification readiness process." The receptionist read the paragraph without touching the document. "I am going to ask our clinical director to review this," she said. "That is fine," Grant replied. "I am not asking anyone to violate procedure." He was asking them to believe his interpretation before they had time to examine it. The receptionist did not give him a visitor badge or direct him toward the treatment rooms. She made a quiet call and asked us all to remain in the lobby. Maya stood beside the desk with the tablet held against her chest. The secure message panel had opened automatically when she completed the first check-in screen. Grant lowered himself slightly, trying to meet her eyes. "Nobody is taking you anywhere," he said. "Your mother knows that. We are going to sit with a professional and talk." "This clinic was never appointed," I said. He looked at me with restrained disappointment. "Claire, every time an opportunity appears, you find a technical reason to block it. This is not a technical reason. Maya did not agree to see you. You keep answering for her." The accusation struck because it touched something real. I had answered for Maya many times, including during the video session with Dr. Avery. Grant did not know that, but he knew where to aim. Maya's breathing grew shallow. I stepped away from Grant and took out my phone. Owen answered on the second ring. "Tell me you did not give Grant this appointment." A pause followed. "He contacted me," Owen said. "That is not what I asked. He wanted to speak to her somewhere with trained professionals. You gave him the time and location. He said he wanted closure, Claire." The word made my stomach turn. Closure was what adults called an ending they wanted someone else to provide. "Did you know Maya did not want to see him? You have not let them have a real conversation in almost 2 years. That is not an answer." Owen exhaled. "Yes, I knew she was afraid. That is why it had to happen somewhere safe." I looked across the lobby at my daughter. Grant stood several feet from her, holding flowers and a court order. The receptionist was speaking quietly into the phone. Maya stared at the tablet as if the rest of the room had moved far away. "You had no right," I said. "I helped you when you left him. I am not against you. You helped us leave. And then you told him exactly where to find her." I told him where he could apologize. "Do not turn this into something else." I ended the call before his language could rearrange what he had done. Grant watched me lower the phone. "Owen understands that avoiding me forever is not treatment," he said. He turned to Maya. "Your uncle agrees this is the right thing. If you cooperate, your mother will have fewer problems with the court. Nobody wants her accused of preventing your recovery." Maya's face changed. It was not dramatic. Her eyes simply stopped moving, and the hand holding the tablet began to tremble. Grant had given her the same choice he always gave her: obey him, or something bad might happen to me. "Maya, you are not responsible for my court case," I said. She did not look at me. I wanted to move closer, take the tablet, and tell everyone exactly what she needed. Then I remembered the agreement we had made with Dr. Avery. Nobody would answer for Maya when she asked for the blank page. Her thumbs moved across the screen. Dr. Avery appeared in the hallway a few seconds later. She was a tall woman with silver threaded through her dark hair and a blue identification card clipped to her jacket. She looked first at Maya, not at Grant or me. "Everyone stop talking," she said. Grant lifted the order. "This is signed by a judge." Dr. Avery did not reach for it. "Dr. Price is reviewing the document. My responsibility right now is Maya's treatment. This is supposed to be part of that treatment. No joint session was scheduled. She cannot refuse something she has not been allowed to understand." Dr. Avery turned the tablet slightly so Maya could see the screen clearly. She typed rather than asking aloud. "Who do you want in the room with you?" Maya's answer appeared beneath it. "Mom," but she cannot answer for me. The sentence hurt more than I expected. Not because she wanted me there, but because she needed a condition attached to my presence. "I understand," I said. "I will not answer for you." Grant stepped forward. "I object to excluding a parent from a court-supported process." The receptionist moved between him and the hallway without touching him. "Dr. Price will speak with you after reviewing the order," she said. "You cannot enter the treatment area." Dr. Avery guided Maya toward a consultation room. I followed a step behind, leaving Grant in the lobby with the lilies still in his hand. The room contained 3 chairs, a small desk, and a box of tissues placed far enough away not to feel like a prediction. Dr. Avery closed the door. Maya sat nearest the wall. I chose the chair beside her but left enough space that she would not feel held in place. Dr. Avery placed a blank sheet of paper on the desk, then turned the tablet toward Maya. "You decide what happens next," she typed. Maya rested both hands in her lap. Outside the room, muted voices moved along the hallway. I could not make out the words. For once, I did not try. We waited nearly 20 minutes, while Dr. Price compared Grant's copy with the existing parenting plan in Maya's administrative file and had the order's filing information verified. Dr. Avery kept the secure message panel open, but Maya did not type. When Dr. Lenora Price entered, she carried the court order and a printed activity report. She introduced herself to Maya before speaking to me. "The order is genuine," she said. "It permits the parties to begin selecting a separate reunification readiness evaluator. It does not appoint Evergreen, and it does not authorize Mr. Keller to participate in this appointment." I released a breath I had not realized I was holding. Dr. Price placed the activity report beside me. I also reviewed the scheduling record. Maya's appointment was opened on October 12th through an active family proxy account assigned to Owen Dawson. The page showed a date, a time, and Owen's name. It proved he had accessed the appointment. It did not yet prove what he had sent to Grant, though his admission had already told me enough. There was also a document uploaded through that account, Dr. Price continued. "Before we discuss it, Dr. Avery needs to verify which statements came from Maya and which came from another source." Dr. Avery opened a folder and removed a draft intake summary. She placed it in front of Maya, not me. Maya read the first paragraph. Her eyes moved back to the beginning. Then she picked up the tablet and typed 3 words. "I didn't say that." Dr. Avery did not ask Maya what she meant. She turned the draft intake summary so Maya could read it without leaning across the desk, then slid the blank sheet closer. Beside it, she placed a pen and the clinic tablet. "You asked us to use the blank page," she said. "You can write, type, or decide you are finished. Claire will not answer unless you ask her to." Maya looked at me. My first instinct was to explain that I had never seen the summary. I wanted her to know I had not approved those sentences, had not given anyone permission to describe her fear as a misunderstanding, and had not brought her into that room knowing Grant's version was waiting on the table. But she had already asked me not to answer for her. I folded my hands in my lap and waited. Maya picked up the pen. The tip hovered above the paper long enough for a small dot of blue ink to form. Then she wrote 4 words. "Those are his words." Dr. Avery read the sentence and nodded once. "Can you show me which ones?" Maya drew the intake draft closer. The first paragraph described our family history in calm, professional language. It said Maya had developed increasing avoidance of her father following the separation, and that her distress appeared connected to maternal reinforcement of that avoidance. The sentence did not accuse me directly. It did not need to. Maya underlined the words, "maternal reinforcement." Her hand moved lower. The summary described Grant as the more emotionally regulated parent. It referred to his rules as ordinary discipline, and said Maya had expressed uncertainty about whether she wanted an unrestricted relationship with him. Maya circled ordinary discipline so hard The pen nearly tore the page. I had spent months learning not to react whenever someone used the language of therapy to make Grant sound reasonable. Emotionally regulated meant he stayed calm while everyone else absorbed the consequences. Ordinary discipline meant he could search our phones, question Maya about my movements, and call it responsible parenting. Unrestricted relationship meant access without anyone watching. None of those phrases belonged to my daughter. I have never heard Maya use those words, I said. The sentence escaped before I could stop it. Maya's shoulders tightened. I am sorry, I said. You did not ask me. Dr. Avery did not correct me or soften the moment. She waited for Maya. Maya wrote beneath her first sentence. Mom did not write them either. I felt the words in my chest. Even while frightened, she was trying to separate me from what had happened. Protecting me had become so natural that she could do it before protecting herself. Dr. Avery pointed gently toward the blank space beneath Maya's writing. You do not have to identify anyone yet. What do you need right now? Maya looked toward the closed door. The voices outside had moved farther down the hallway, but Grant's measured tone still reached us in fragments. He was telling someone that he respected the clinic's process. He said he had only come because the court supported reunification and because a prolonged separation could harm a child. Every word sounded reasonable until I remembered the parking lot. Maya wrote again. I need him not to hear me. Dr. Avery stood and stepped into the hallway. When she returned, Grant's voice disappeared completely. She closed the door and sat down, without telling Maya what had been said outside. A few minutes later, Dr. Price entered carrying a second folder. Her expression remained calm, but the careful distance in her voice told me the clinic had moved from confusion into documentation. I have preliminary information, she said. I want to be precise about what it does and does not establish. She placed the activity report on the desk. Owen Dawson's proxy account opened this appointment on October 12th. The account viewed the date, time, and clinic location. It also uploaded a PDF, categorized as patient and family provided history. My fingers went cold. Can you see what the document says? I asked. We have preserved the original upload. I have not completed a source review yet, and I do not want to make assumptions in front of Maya. Did Owen send the appointment to Grant? The access report cannot tell us that. It tells us Owen viewed the information. Your phone conversation may establish more, but the system itself does not. The distinction mattered, even if emotionally I had already crossed the distance between access and disclosure. Owen had admitted enough. He had known Grant wanted to appear, and he had given him the information needed to do it. Dr. Price continued. The upload form states that the document was submitted on behalf of both parents. I never authorized that. I am documenting your statement now. She made a note in the folder, then looked toward Maya, rather than speaking only to me. The intake summary in front of you is a draft prepared before the appointment. It combines information from more than one source under a broad heading. Dr. Avery has not adopted those statements as clinical findings. Part of today's intake was supposed to be verifying what came from you. Maya tapped the page with the pen. But my name is on it, she said. Her voice was quiet, but it was the first sentence she had spoken since entering the room. Dr. Price nodded. Yes, the source labels are not clear enough. Can you delete it? I asked. Maya looked at me immediately. I heard my own question the way she must have heard it. I was already trying to make the problem disappear before she had decided what she wanted done. Dr. Price answered carefully. We preserve original records and document corrections. We do not erase an original submission simply because it is disputed. Once we confirm the sources, we can label them accurately and add Maya's own statement. Maya lowered her eyes to the draft. Outside the room, a door opened and closed. A few seconds later, Grant's voice carried from farther down the hall. Claire is interfering with a court-supported opportunity. I want that documented. Maya's pen stopped moving. The color drained from her face. Dr. Avery noticed before I did. Maya, would you like the door moved to a quieter room, or would you like to leave? Maya stared at the paper. Then she wrote in the middle of the blank sheet. He said Mom gets in trouble when I refuse. Dr. Avery read the sentence without changing her expression. Your refusal is information, she said. It is not misbehavior. Maya looked at me as though she needed to see whether I believed that. You do not have to protect me, I said. Tell them what you need. The words were almost the same ones I had given her at breakfast, but they felt different now. Earlier I had said them while still trying to control every possible consequence. In that room, I had no control over what Grant would file, what Owen would claim, or how the court might interpret the day. I could only refuse to make Maya responsible for those risks. She looked at Dr. Avery. I want to go home. Dr. Avery nodded. Then, we stop. There was no attempt to persuade her to complete the intake. No warning that leaving would delay progress. Dr. Avery closed the folder and moved the tablet aside. Dr. Price explained that Grant would not be permitted into the treatment area. Evergreen had not been appointed to conduct the reunification readiness evaluation, and the signed order did not change the supervised contact provisions already in place. He may contact his attorney, she said. Any dispute about the order's meaning will go through the proper legal channels. It will not be resolved by bringing him into this room. I asked whether we could leave without passing him. A staff member moved Grant to a separate consultation area near the front entrance, while Dr. Avery escorted us through a side hallway. Before we stood, Maya folded the blank page in half. She reached for the draft summary next. Can I keep this review copy? Dr. Price nodded. You may take the printed working copy. The electronic record and original upload will remain preserved. Maya placed both papers inside her canvas pouch, between the wooden clay tools she had brought as if she might need proof that another version of her life still existed. We walked through the side exit into the rain. She did not ask where Grant had gone. She did not ask what would happen to Owen. She held the pouch against her chest while I unlocked the car. Once we were inside, I turned toward her. We do not have to talk about any of it now. Maya looked through the windshield at the water moving down the glass. For several seconds, I thought she would remain silent. Then she touched the pouch on her lap. I want to know who wrote me, she said. I had entered Evergreen believing the greatest danger was that my brother had told Grant where to find us. As I started the car, I understood that the schedule was only the first thing Owen had opened. Maya did not ask another question during the drive home. She kept the canvas pouch on her lap, with one arm wrapped around it. The draft summary and blank page were folded between her clay tools, close enough that I could hear the paper shift whenever the car turned. I wanted to tell her Owen had betrayed both of us. I wanted to explain that Dr. Avery had not accepted the document as truth and that the clinic had stopped Grant from entering the session. Every sentence formed in my mind as an attempt to make what happened smaller. Maya had asked who wrote her. She had not asked me to explain why everything would be all right. When we reached home, she checked the street before getting out. She checked it again from the porch, then waited while I unlocked the door. That night, she turned the deadbolt 4 times. I heard the lock from my bedroom at 11:30, again after midnight, and once more at 2:15. When I found her in the hallway, she was wearing jeans and her school sweatshirt. You can wake me if you need me, I said. I was not going anywhere. I know. She looked past me toward the dark living room. I just wanted to make sure we could. The next morning, Maya left the pouch beneath her bed. She did not mention the intake summary before school, and I did not ask whether she had slept. At 3:20, Miss Park sent a message, asking whether Maya would return to ceramics that afternoon. She had saved the same shelf and moved one of the smaller tables so Maya could see the door without sitting near the windows. I showed Maya the message when she came home. Not today, she said. Do you want me to tell her next week? I do not know. I typed that Maya needed more time, then stopped before sending it. Would you rather answer her? Maya took my phone and wrote a short message herself. Thank you for saving my shelf. I am not ready yet. She handed the phone back without reading my face for approval. That should have felt like progress. Instead, I noticed the way she scanned the driveway before going upstairs, and how quickly her bedroom door closed behind her. For the next 2 days, the draft stayed hidden. I knew where it was, because I saw one corner of the folded paper beneath the bed when I collected laundry. I did not touch it. I told myself that respecting Maya's privacy meant waiting until she invited me into whatever she was doing. Waiting became harder when Owen began sending messages. I only provided context. A therapist cannot help if she receives an incomplete history. You know Grant has a right to be represented accurately. The messages arrived several hours apart, as if he believed time would transform repetition into reason. I did not answer. On Saturday afternoon, Mom called. Owen had told her there had been a misunderstanding at the clinic. She said he was devastated and afraid I would remove him from Maya's life before he had a chance to explain. "Did he tell you he gave Grant the appointment?" I asked. "He said he believed the center was the safest place for a conversation. That was not his decision. Claire, I am not defending how he handled it. I am saying he has always been there for you." Being there had become the argument everyone used when they wanted access to continue after trust was broken. "I cannot discuss this with you," I said. "You cannot cut off every person who challenges you." The words were close enough to Owen's that I wondered whether he had given her the sentence along with his version of the day. "I am not cutting you off," I said. "I am ending this conversation." After I hung up, I found Maya standing near the kitchen doorway. "How much did you hear?" "Enough." "I am sorry." "For what?" "For making you listen to adults argue about you." She studied me with the same careful expression she used when deciding whether a car was unfamiliar or merely parked in a different place. "Grandma thinks Uncle Owen was helping," she said. "Yes." "Do you?" "No." The answer came without hesitation. Maya nodded once and went upstairs. On Sunday evening, I found the intake draft spread across her desk. Old letters from Grant lay beside it. Some were birthday cards. Others were printed emails he had sent through our attorneys. After direct communication became limited, Maya had arranged them by date and marked repeated phrases with a yellow pencil. She did not hide the papers when I entered. "What are you looking for?" I asked. She pointed to a paragraph in the draft. "My mother made ordinary discipline feel frightening." The sentence sat beneath the broad heading Patient and Family Report. Maya placed one of Grant's old letters beside it. In the letter, he had written that Claire had taught Maya to interpret ordinary parental discipline as danger. "He always says ordinary," Maya said. "Ordinary rules, ordinary questions, ordinary families talk." I pulled out the chair beside her, but did not sit until she nodded. Maya opened an older message Grant had sent her before the final parenting plan restricted direct contact. The message told her that I made normal things sound scary, and that one day she would understand how much damage fear could cause. "He made me practice that," she said. "Practice what?" She looked down at the draft. "Mom makes normal things sound scary." I remembered the December night when I found her composing a report about my trip to the pharmacy. I remembered how polished Grant's words had sounded in her mouth, and how long I had mistaken that polish for maturity. Maya underlined the sentence in the draft. "This is the same thing," she said. "He just made it sound like a doctor wrote it." "Was it Uncle Owen?" "I do not know which parts Owen wrote. Dr. Price is checking the original file. But he put it there." "Yes." Maya picked up another letter. Her movements remained controlled, but the pencil shook between her fingers. "He told me the therapist would hear what I said. He should not have promised anything about your treatment. He meant Dad." The distinction settled between us. Owen had not only given Grant the address. He had tried to place Grant inside the room before Maya arrived. On Monday morning, Dr. Price called while Maya was at school. She had completed the preliminary source review. The clinic had preserved Owen's upload, its metadata, the draft summary, and the category he selected. "The original PDF identifies Grant Keller as its author," she said. "Mr. Dawson uploaded it through his proxy account and stated that it was submitted on behalf of both parents. I never saw it. We have documented that. The intake coordinator prepared the draft summary by combining the uploaded family history with existing administrative information. The summary used the broad heading patient and family report without identifying the source of each sentence. So, someone copied Grant's words and put Maya's name over them. Not intentionally, based on what we have reviewed. The document was not labeled clearly enough, and the summary blurred separate sources. That was our error. The explanation did not make the harm smaller, but it made the mechanism visible. Can you remove it? We will preserve the original submission. Maya may request an amendment, add her own statement, and ask that Grant and Owen be identified as the sources. The clinic can also correct how the draft attributes the material. I want that done immediately. The words left my mouth before I considered whether the decision belonged to me. Dr. Price paused. We can begin the process when Maya decides what she wants added. She does not have to return to the clinic before she is ready. She should not have to live with this attached to her name. I agree that the sourcing must be corrected. I am also telling you that her own statement should come from her. After the call, I drafted an email demanding that Evergreen mark every disputed sentence before the end of the day. I attached screenshots and listed the phrases Maya had identified. My finger hovered above send. If I submitted the correction in my own words, I would be telling the clinic what Maya meant. I would be removing Grant's voice, only to replace it with mine. I saved the email as a draft. That afternoon, I told Maya what Dr. Price had found. I explained that Grant wrote the original document, Owen uploaded it, and the clinic failed to keep their statements separate from hers. I can ask them to correct it now, I said. You should not have to go back there. Maya's face tightened. If you fix it, they still will not know what I said. I would use the sentences you showed me. That is not the same. I am trying to keep you from having to do this yourself. She pushed her chair away from the table. Why does everybody get to decide what helps me? The question stopped every answer I had prepared. Grant decided that monitoring me kept our family safe. Owen decided a surprise meeting would help Maya face her fear. I had decided that correcting the record quickly would protect her from further harm. My reason was different. The result was becoming dangerously familiar. You are right, I said. Maya stood near the table as if she expected the apology to continue into an explanation. I should not have decided that for you. I am sorry. I did not tell her I was frightened. I did not remind her that the draft could influence future treatment. Those things were true, but they did not erase her right to choose when and how she responded. She went upstairs without saying whether she accepted my apology. That night, I heard the lock twice. On Tuesday morning, Owen sent another message. You are turning a mistake into a betrayal because that is easier than admitting Maya needs both parents. I blocked his number for the rest of the day. When I checked on Maya after dinner, she was sitting at her desk with the intake draft beside a clean sheet of paper. One sentence had been copied at the top in pencil. My mother taught me to fear my father. Beneath it, Maya had begun another sentence, then erased it so many times that the paper had thinned. I stayed at the doorway. She covered the page with one hand. I will not read it, I said. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Then Maya looked at the folded intake summary. Does Dr. Avery still have every page with my name on it? Yes. Maya pressed her palm flat against the paper she had not yet allowed anyone else to read. For the first time since we left Evergreen, she was no longer asking who had written her. She was deciding whether she was ready to answer. The next morning, Maya asked me to find out exactly what Owen had given Grant before she decided whether to return to Evergreen. She did not ask me to confront him. She wanted facts. I promised I would bring back only what she wanted to know, not every excuse he offered. Dr. Price had already notified Owen that his proxy activity was under review. He agreed to provide the clinic with his messages to Grant and asked to meet me before he submitted them. I chose a quiet coffee shop near my office, far from our house and Maya's school. Owen arrived, carrying a cardboard file box. He placed it on the table between us, and removed the spare key to my house, several insurance forms, the proxy revocation notice I had emailed him the night before, and a printed copy of his complete message exchange with Grant. A signed release on top allowed Evergreen to review the same pages. The key looked smaller than I remembered. He had used it to bring groceries when Maya was too frightened to leave the guest room at his house. He had let himself in when I worked late, and stayed until she fell asleep. I had once considered his access proof that we were not alone. Now he pushed it across the table without meeting my eyes. "I signed the revocation," he said. I folded the paper and placed it in my bag. "I need you to answer specific questions." I have been trying to explain. I am not asking for an explanation yet. His jaw tightened, but he nodded. "Did you open Maya's appointment in the portal?" I checked it. "Yes." Or "No." "Yes." "Did you send Grant the date, time, and clinic location?" I shared the appointment information. "That means yes." "Yes." "Did you upload the document Grant wrote?" I added family background the clinic did not have. "Did Grant write it?" "Yes." "Did you state that it came from both parents?" I said it was being submitted on behalf of the family. "Claire and Grant are the parents. Did you have my permission?" "No." "Did you know Maya would refuse to meet him if she were asked beforehand?" Owen looked toward the window. A bus moved through the wet intersection outside, leaving a sheet of water behind it. I knew she was afraid. That was not my question. He turned back to me. "Yes. I believed she would refuse." Each answer landed more quietly than I had imagined. There was no dramatic confession, only my brother renaming the same acts until they sounded less deliberate. He had not entered the portal. He had checked it. He had not disclosed Maya's location. He had shared information. He had not misrepresented my consent. He had submitted something on behalf of the family. Grant had survived our marriage by making verbs softer than their consequences. Owen was doing the same thing. "You knew she would say no," I said. "So you made sure she did not get the chance." "I made sure the decision was not based on panic before she even saw him." "You replaced her decision with yours." "I believed a therapist would manage the conversation." "Dr. Avery is not a reunification evaluator. I told you that." "You also told me Grant had no right to know anything about his daughter's treatment." "I told you he had no right to appear at a private appointment." Owen leaned back. "You hear control in everything he does." "Maya hears it too. She is 14. She has spent nearly 2 years hearing your interpretation first." I pulled the printed message exchange from the file box and placed the relevant page between us. Grant's first message asked whether Maya had begun treatment. Owen replied that she had an in-person appointment that week. Grant then asked where and when. Owen sent Evergreen's address and the 3 o'clock appointment time. His final message read, "Keep it calm. 5 minutes." I placed the page in front of him. "You did not merely provide context. I told him not to cause a scene. You told him where to find a child who had not agreed to see him. At a trauma clinic, surrounded by professionals. You keep saying that as though the building consented for her." Owen stared at the printed message. "I thought if she saw him stay calm, she might realize she did not have to be terrified. What if she became more afraid? Then a therapist would see it." My stomach tightened. "So, Maya's reaction was evidence you wanted to collect." "That is not what I said. It is what you arranged. If she stayed calm, you could say Grant was safe. If she panicked, you could say I had taught her to panic." Owen opened his mouth, then stopped. For the first time since we sat down, he looked less defensive than tired. "I helped you leave him," he said. "Yes. I stood in that house while he told me you were having some kind of breakdown. I told him to back away. I found an attorney and moved your things. All of that is true. Then why are you treating me like I wanted him to hurt her? I am holding you responsible for what you actually did." He rubbed both hands over his face. "I did not think he would bring the court order. You knew he wanted access. I thought he would apologize. You knew Maya would refuse. I thought she needed to get past the refusal." The sentence stayed between us. Owen looked down at the spare key. When you first called me about Grant, I told you marriage was difficult, he said. I said you were sensitive because Dad was never around, and that Grant's need to know where you were probably came from insecurity. I remembered those conversations. Owen had advised me to be clearer, calmer, and more consistent. He said Grant would stop checking if I stopped becoming defensive. Every solution required me to perform trust, until Grant no longer felt the need to demand it. I told you to stay, Owen continued. I told myself I was keeping your family together. You were wrong. I know that now. Do you? His expression hardened. I helped you leave. You helped when the evidence became impossible for you to ignore. That is not fair. It was already impossible for Maya. He looked away again. If Grant is exactly what you believe he is, Owen said, then I missed it for years. I told you to keep trying. I told Mom you were overreacting. I thought one calm meeting could prove I had not been completely wrong about him. There it was. He had not arranged the meeting only for Grant or Maya. He had arranged it to repair his own version of the past. Maya was not a test of your judgment, I said. I did not mean it that way. You used her fear to find out whether you could still feel right. He pressed his lips together. I only wanted them to have 5 minutes. The phrase turned the room cold. I gathered the key, the forms, and the signed revocation. Owen watched me place them in my bag. What happens now? He asked. Your proxy access is terminated. You are being removed as Maya's emergency contact and from every school, treatment, and pickup list. You know I would never take her anywhere. I also knew you would never give Grant her therapy schedule. He lowered his eyes. You may not contact Maya directly, I continued. No calls, messages, gifts, or letters through Mom. If Maya ever wants a relationship with you again, she will decide when it begins and what it looks like. You cannot erase me from her life, because I made one mistake. I am not erasing you. I am removing access you used without her consent. What about my job? Is the clinic reporting this? I am not calling your employer. I am not posting your messages or asking the family to choose sides. I will tell the truth wherever Maya's care or safety requires it. Nothing more. Owen looked relieved for half a second, then ashamed of the relief. I am sorry, he said. I believed he felt sorry. I did not confuse that with restored trust. When I returned home, Maya was at the kitchen table with the intake draft folded beside her. She did not ask how Owen looked or whether he cried. Did he send Dad the address? She asked. Yes. Did he know I would not agree? Yes. Did Dad write the other paper? Yes. Owen uploaded it and said it came from both parents, even though I had never seen it. Maya traced one finger along the fold in the draft. Why did Uncle Owen do it? He wanted to believe that seeing Grant stay calm would prove the situation was not as dangerous as we believed. He also admitted that accepting your fear meant admitting he had been wrong when he told me to stay. She absorbed that without speaking. Did he say how long Dad was supposed to talk to me? I could have softened the answer. I did not. He said 5 minutes. Maya's hand stopped. Those exact words? Yes. She looked toward the hallway, where the front door remained visible from the table. He always says 5 minutes. I waited. 5 minutes to see your phone, she said. 5 minutes to ask where you went. 5 minutes before I could leave his office. Her voice remained steady, but her fingers pressed into the paper. It was never 5 minutes. No. He said it because 5 minutes sounds too small to be scared of. I sat across from her without reaching for the draft. What do you want to happen with Owen? I do not want him calling me. He will not. I do not want Grandma bringing messages. I told him that too. Maya looked down at the sentences printed beneath her name. Does he still get to see my appointments? No. His access is gone. She released a breath and unfolded the draft. For the first time, she did not look at it as though it belonged to someone else. What day can Dr. Avery show me every page? She asked. The following Thursday. Maya returned to Evergreen because she had chosen to, not because I had convinced her. She made her conditions clear at the kitchen table before we left. Dr. Avery could be in the room. I could stay if I did not answer for her. Grant and Owen could not participate, call into the session, or send new material for her to review. I wrote each condition down, then handed the paper back without adding anything. Maya read it and folded it into the front pocket of her canvas pouch. The drive took 25 minutes. She watched the road, but she did not count every car behind us aloud. Her clay tools rested beside the intake draft, though she had not returned to ceramics yet. When Evergreen came into view, her breathing changed. "We can turn around," I said. "I know." She held the pouch against her stomach and kept looking at the entrance. "I still want to go." Dr. Avery met us in the lobby. There was no tablet waiting at the desk and no unexpected person near the doorway. Dr. Price had arranged for us to enter through the side hall so Maya would not have to pass the place where Grant had stood with the lilies. Inside the consultation room, Dr. Avery placed a folder on the desk but did not open it. "Before we begin, I want to make sure my role is clear," she said. "This is a treatment session. It is not testimony, and I am not conducting the court's reunification evaluation. You may stop at any time." Maya nodded. "If you want a correction added to the record, the original documents will remain preserved. Your statement can be attached in your own words, and the sources of the other material can be identified accurately." "Dad's paper stays?" Maya asked. "Yes, it stays under his name, not yours." "And Uncle Owen?" "The record can show that he uploaded it and described it as supported by both parents." Maya looked at me. The denial rose to my mouth, but I kept my hands folded and let the silence remain hers. "Mom never supported it," Maya said. Dr. Avery nodded. "The corrected record will reflect that." Then she asked, "Do you still want your mother in the room?" Maya considered the question before nodding. "She can stay." I sat in the chair beside her, leaving enough space between us that she would not feel watched. Dr. Avery placed the complete draft summary on the desk, followed by a working copy and several blank sheets. Maya looked at the pages but did not touch them. Her breathing became shallow. One foot pressed flat against the floor, while the other pulled back beneath the chair, as if preparing to stand. Dr. Avery waited. Maya reached for the clinic tablet and opened the secure message panel. "Can we use the blank page?" Dr. Avery moved the draft aside and placed a clean sheet directly in front of her. "No questions allowed," she said. "Nobody answers for Maya." The room became quiet. Rain moved softly against the window. Somewhere beyond the wall, a printer started and stopped. I watched Maya's fingers close around the pen. She began with the first page. The heading read, "Patient and Family Report." Beneath it, the summary stated that Maya's increasing avoidance of Grant began after our separation and appeared reinforced by my response to her anxiety. Maya drew a line through her name beside the paragraph. She did not erase the words. She separated herself from them. In the margin, she wrote Grant Keller's statement. On the next page, the summary described Grant as the more emotionally regulated parent and referred to his rules as ordinary discipline. Maya circled both phrases. Beside ordinary discipline, she wrote 4 words. "He made me practice this." My throat tightened. I remembered finding her on the bedroom floor with the unfinished report about my trip to the pharmacy. I remembered how carefully she had repeated Grant's phrases, as if getting them wrong could change what happened to me. I wanted to say I remembered. I wanted to confirm that she had told me the truth. Maya had not asked. I kept my hands folded. She moved to the statement claiming she had expressed uncertainty about restoring an unrestricted relationship with Grant. She crossed out the word patient beside it and wrote, "I never said this." Dr. Avery did not praise her or tell her she was brave. She turned each finished page face down, so Maya would not have to keep looking at it. The 3rd page held the sentence Maya had copied at home. "My mother taught me to fear my father." Maya read it several times. Her pen touched the paper, then lifted again. I knew what she might say. I knew when the nightmares had started, when she began checking locks, and when she first admitted that Grant made her report my movements. I could have given Dr. Avery dates, messages, and details. Knowing was not permission. Maya pulled a blank page toward her. She wrote slowly. I was afraid before Mom knew I was afraid. She stopped and read the sentence. Dr. Avery waited until Maya looked up before speaking. Do you want that added exactly as written? Maya nodded. Then she wrote another paragraph. When I was 12, Dad made me tell him where Mom went after work. He said I had to help him watch her. He said if I did not tell him the truth, he could make sure I never saw her again. The pen paused. Maya added one more sentence. Mom found out because she saw the message he made me send. She put the pen down. I had imagined this moment many times, without knowing it. In those imagined versions, I told the professional what Grant had done and watched someone finally understand. I produced evidence. I organized dates. I made the case impossible to dismiss. The truth was now sitting on the desk in Maya's handwriting, and my role was not to improve it. Dr. Avery read only after Maya slid the page toward her. Would you like to continue? She asked. Maya shook her head. Then we stop here. She gathered the remaining pages into a single stack but kept the working copy in front of Maya. Which parts do you want entered into the official record? Maya pointed to her statement. All of this. Dr. Avery marked the page for verbatim attachment. Maya touched Grant's original document next. That stays. But it says he wrote it. Yes. And it says Uncle Owen put it there. Yes. The other paper cannot say we all reported the same thing. The corrected source labels will separate your account, Grant's statement, and Owen's upload information. Maya looked at the final page. I do not want Dad coming to my appointments here. Dr. Avery nodded. Evergreen will not turn your trauma treatment into an unscheduled reunification session. Does that cancel the judge's paper? No. The court order remains in place. A separate professional may eventually be selected to assess readiness for reunification. What you are deciding today is that Grant does not participate in your treatment with me. Maya absorbed the distinction. So I am not breaking the order. No. She looked at me again, perhaps expecting to see relief or fear. I felt both, but neither belonged in her decision. I do not consent to him being in my treatment here, she said. Dr. Avery wrote the sentence exactly. When the record amendment form was ready, Maya reviewed each entry before signing. I signed only the section acknowledging that I had received the clinic's explanation. I did not add a statement of my own. Dr. Avery closed the folder. Would you like to go home now? The answer rose in me before Maya spoke. She had done enough. She was exhausted. We could finish the original intake another day. I said nothing. Maya looked at the clock. Not yet. Dr. Avery waited. I came here because I wanted to stop listening for his car, Maya said. I still want help with that. The session did not become easy after those words. Dr. Avery asked only a few questions, and Maya answered most of them in writing. She described checking the street before leaving home and choosing seats where she could see a door. She said she wanted to return to ceramics, without planning how quickly she could escape. When Dr. Avery asked what would make the next appointment feel safer, Maya wrote that she wanted the secure chat open before check-in, and no family documents added without their source appearing clearly. Dr. Avery agreed. At the end of the session, she turned the scheduling screen toward Maya rather than me. There are openings Tuesday and Thursday next week. Maya checked the times herself. Thursday had a 3:30 appointment, late enough that she would not have to miss school, and early enough to reach the ceramics studio afterward if she chose to go. She selected it and entered the appointment into her phone. On the way out, Maya passed the consultation room where Grant's voice had once carried through the door. Her steps slowed, but she did not stop. I walked beside her without taking her hand. For months, I had believed protecting my daughter meant standing between her and every danger. That afternoon, protection meant something quieter. It meant staying close enough for her to choose me, while leaving the pen in her hand. Consequences are not revenge. Maya's next appointment remained on Thursday at 3:30. For the first few days after she corrected the record, I expected another crisis to arrive before we reached it. Grant had taught me to treat every quiet period as preparation for something worse. I checked my email too often, kept my phone beside me during meetings, and read every unknown number as a possible call from an attorney. What arrived instead was a brief written notice from Evergreen. It confirmed the 3 outcomes that mattered most to Maya. Grant was identified as the author of Additional Family Background. Owen was identified as the proxy user who uploaded it and falsely described it as supported by both parents. Maya's amendment was attached verbatim, and the draft no longer blended all 3 sources beneath one heading. Owen's proxy access was terminated. Evergreen also stated that future family submissions would carry clear source labels before appearing in any draft summary. The notice did not call Owen a criminal or decide whether reunification should occur. It acknowledged the clinic's sourcing failure and corrected only what its records could establish. A copy sent to both attorneys also confirmed that Evergreen was not the provider contemplated by the court order, and that Maya's treatment remained separate from any future reunification readiness evaluation. The existing parenting plan stayed in force, including Grant's supervised contact limits. Maya had changed the record carrying her name without becoming responsible for deciding the entire legal process. I wanted Maya to understand that her voice had changed the record without making her responsible for controlling the entire legal process. She had told the truth. The adults and institutions around her had to manage what followed. Grant's response came through email the following morning. He copied his attorney and mine. The subject line read, "Formal concern regarding obstruction of court-supported reunification." The message accused me of turning Maya's private therapy into a tool of alienation. He claimed I had created a scene at the clinic, prevented him from participating in a lawful process, and encouraged Maya to reject neutral treatment. He wrote that his appearance had been calm, respectful, and motivated only by concern. He did not mention that no joint session had been scheduled. He did not mention Owen giving him the appointment behind our backs. He did not mention telling Maya I would face fewer problems if she cooperated. I read the message once, then felt my hands moving toward the keyboard. There were dozens of ways to answer. I could quote the order, attach Evergreen's letter, describe Maya freezing in the lobby, and challenge every sentence Grant had softened into innocence. Instead, I forwarded the email to Melissa. "Please handle this through the existing legal process," I wrote. "I will not respond directly." Melissa replied that the parenting plan remained in force and that she would address any formal filing if Grant made one. She would also preserve Evergreen's notice and the documented unscheduled appearance in our case file in case Grant later asked the court to change the plan. I closed the laptop. Not answering did not mean Grant was right. It meant I was no longer required to enter every argument he opened. That evening, I sent one message to Mom and the few relatives still allowed to contact Maya. No one was to relay messages from Grant to her. No one was to carry letters, invitations, apologies, or explanations between them. If Grant needed to communicate about parenting matters, he could use the channels established by the court. Mom called within 10 minutes. "You are making this sound as though Owen conspired to hurt her," she said. "I told everyone not to carry Grant's messages. And you removed your own brother from every list. He used those lists and permissions to act against Maya's wishes. He made a terrible judgment. That does not mean you destroy his career and his place in this family." I stood at the kitchen counter while Maya worked upstairs. The house was quiet enough that I could hear the hum of the refrigerator. "I have not contacted his employer," I said. "I have not posted his messages or asked anyone to stop speaking to him. But Evergreen has a record of what he did." "Yes, that could follow him. The record exists because he used his access." Mom lowered her voice. "You could tell them it was a misunderstanding." "It was not. He thought he was helping. He knew Maya would say no, so he made the choice before she could." You are leaving no room for forgiveness. I am leaving that decision to Maya. Mom went silent. She had always believed forgiveness was the thing injured people owed the family so everyone else could return to normal. I had once believed setting a boundary required, proving that the other person deserved punishment. Now I understood that those were separate questions. Owen did not have to be publicly ruined for his access to remain revoked. He did not have to be evil for Maya to refuse contact. He did not have to lose his career for me to tell the truth about what he had done. I am not asking anyone to punish Owen, I said. I will not lie about my consent or restore his access so he can avoid the consequences of using it. Mom said I sounded cold. I ended the call before coldness became another thing I had to defend. 3 days later, a plain white envelope arrived in the mail. Owen's handwriting covered the front. He had written Maya's name carefully and placed mine beneath it with the words, "For Claire to deliver, only if Maya wants it." I did not open it. I took the envelope upstairs and found Maya at her desk, rolling a small piece of practice clay between her palms. She had not returned to the ceramic studio, but she had begun working at home again. "Owen sent you a letter," I said. "You do not have to read it." She looked at the envelope but did not reach for it. "Did you read it?" "No." "Do you know what it says?" He told me the general purpose before sending it. He said he believed he understood what you needed better than you did. He says he was wrong. He says he is not asking you to forgive him. Maya placed the clay on the desk. "Why did he tell you first?" "To make sure giving you the letter would not become another way of forcing contact." She considered that. "Do I have to decide now?" "No." "Can I keep it?" "Yes." She took the envelope and opened the top drawer of her desk. The intake draft had once lived there beside Grant's letters. Now the drawer held clean paper, clay tools, and the words Maya had written for herself. She placed Owen's letter inside without opening it. "Not yet," she said. I closed the door when I left, resisting the urge to ask what would make her ready. At her next session with Dr. Avery, Maya chose for me to remain in the room. The secure message panel was open before we sat down. No family documents waited on the desk. Dr. Avery asked Maya whether she had checked the street before leaving home that morning. I knew the answer. Maya had stood at the front window for almost 4 minutes. She had watched 2 cars pass and asked whether the delivery van belonged to the same driver who came on Tuesdays. I could have given Dr. Avery the exact sequence. The explanation rose into my throat. I kept it there. Maya looked down at the tablet and typed. I checked twice. The second time was because Mom went back for her keys, not because I saw Dad's car. Dr. Avery read the message. How did that feel different? Maya thought before answering. I knew why we were late. The sentence was simple, but I understood what she meant. Fear had once filled every gap in information. A delayed departure meant danger. An unfamiliar car meant Grant. A closed door meant she might not be allowed to leave. That morning, she had known the reason. I had not given the answer to Dr. Avery. Maya had. Silence had once been the space Grant filled with his interpretation. I had feared that leaving silence around Maya would abandon her there. Now I saw that silence could also be protected space, as long as nobody treated it as consent or rushed to occupy it. 2 weeks after the clinic incident, Maya still had not opened Owen's letter. I stopped measuring her healing by whether she forgave him. Several months later, while preparing a new treatment preference form at our kitchen table, she opened the drawer and found the envelope waiting exactly where she had left it. By February, Maya no longer checked the front lock every night. She still checked it when an unfamiliar car slowed outside, or when the wind pushed a branch against the living room window. Some nights, she slept in jeans. Other nights, she changed into pajamas and left her shoes beneath the bed instead of beside the door. Progress did not arrive in a straight line. It came quietly, then disappeared for several days before returning, in a form small enough that I might have missed it if I were still searching for proof that she had been fixed. The clearest change was the clay beneath her fingernails. Maya had returned to the ceramics studio 3 weeks earlier. Miss Park moved one work table without announcing why, giving Maya a clear view of the door while keeping her away from the windows. Maya still chose the chair nearest the aisle. She still looked up whenever someone entered, but she stayed for the full workshop. The first piece she brought home was a bowl with one side slightly higher than the other. She placed it on the kitchen counter and filled it with unopened tea bags. "It leans," I said. "It is supposed to." I smiled. "Of course. It makes everything slide to the same side. That is the design." Her dry humor had begun returning before her sleep improved. I learned to count that too. One Saturday morning, she sat at her desk completing a new treatment preference form from Evergreen. Dr. Avery reviewed the form every few months so Maya could change how she wanted sessions handled. Maya opened the top drawer to find a black pen. Owen's letter lay between her clean paper and clay tools. She had not mentioned it since placing it there. I had stopped wondering aloud whether she would read it. The envelope belonged to her, including the right to let it remain sealed forever. Maya lifted it and turned it over in her hands. "Do you want me to leave?" I asked. "No." She opened the envelope carefully along one edge. The letter covered 2 pages. Owen had written by hand rather than printing it from a computer. I stayed on the other side of the room, sorting laundry that did not need to be sorted. Maya read the first page without changing expression. Halfway through the second, she pressed her lips together and returned to the beginning. I wanted to ask whether he had apologized properly. I wanted to know whether he had used the words mistake or betrayal, whether he had defended himself, and whether he understood that helping us leave did not give him the right to decide when Maya faced Grant again. None of those questions were mine to answer. When Maya finished, she folded the pages along their original creases. "He said he kept thinking being older meant he could see things. I could not," she said. I waited. "He said he believed getting me into the same room with Dad would prove the fear was bigger than the danger. What do you think?" "I think he wanted it to be true." She looked at the letter again. "He said he is sorry he used helping us as permission to keep deciding things." The sentence sounded more honest than anything Owen had said to me in the coffee shop. That did not make Maya ready to restore him to her life. "Do you want to answer?" I asked. "Maybe." She pulled out a sheet of paper and wrote for several minutes. I stayed by the dresser, folding the same sweatshirt twice because watching her too closely felt like another form of pressure. When she finished, she turned the page toward me. "I believe you are sorry. I am not ready." There was no promise of forgiveness and no deadline. She had not written that she hated him or that everything could be repaired. She had written what was true that morning. "Do you want to send it?" I asked. "Not yet." Maya folded her response and placed it beneath Owen's letter. I nodded and closed the drawer when she asked me to. Before therapy, I had thought healing would give Maya clearer answers. Instead, it seemed to give her permission not to produce an answer before she had one. The following Thursday, we returned to Evergreen for her afternoon appointment. Maya carried no canvas pouch that day. Her clay tools remained at the studio because she planned to go there after therapy. She wore a denim jacket with a faint smear of white glaze near one cuff. In the waiting room, Dr. Avery handed her the updated treatment preference form. Maya read each question before marking anything. One section asked who could assist her in answering questions during treatment. The options included parent, guardian, clinician, support person, or no assistance. Maya selected the final choice beneath them. "I will answer in writing first." Under additional instructions, she wrote that I could clarify something only after she asked me directly. She passed the form to me. "There is a section for you." My name appeared beside a short acknowledgement, confirming that I understood her preferences. I read it once and signed. I did not add a note about what I believed would help her. I did not circle an alternative in case she changed her mind. My signature meant I had seen her choice, not that I had improved it. Dr. Avery reviewed the form with Maya inside the consultation room. "You can change this at any time," she said. I know. Do you want Claire to stay today? Maya looked at me, then nodded. She can stay. During the session, Maya answered most questions aloud. When Dr. Avery asked about a nightmare from the previous week, Maya reached for the tablet and typed instead. I watched her choose the method without apologizing for it. Near the end, Dr. Avery opened the calendar. I have Tuesday at 4 or Thursday at 3:30. Maya checked her phone. The ceramics workshop began at 5 on Thursdays. Tuesday would have given her more time, but it also meant missing the beginning of a school club meeting she had recently joined. She considered both options. Thursday is okay. Dr. Avery selected the appointment. Maya entered it into her own calendar before we left the room. Outside, the February sky had already begun to darken. The air smelled of wet pavement and cedar. Maya checked the parking lot before walking toward our car, but she did not ask me to go first. We were halfway home when a dark sedan entered the intersection from our right. The shape resembled Grant's car closely enough that Maya stopped speaking. Her shoulders rose, and she leaned forward to see the license plate. I saw the change immediately. 4 months earlier, I would have asked whether she was all right before the car had passed. I would have told her it was not Grant's vehicle, explained the plate, and filled every second of silence with reassurance. This time, I waited. The sedan turned left and continued toward the highway. Its license plate began with different letters. Maya watched until it disappeared behind a line of trees. She settled back into her seat. I am still listening, she said. Just not all the time. I kept my eyes on the road. That sounds different. It is. She opened her calendar and checked the appointment she had entered. Thursday, at 3:30, sat between school and ceramics, not as the center of her life, but as one part of it. When we reached the studio, Maya gathered her phone and jacket. She paused before closing the car door. You do not have to wait outside. I can pick you up at 6:30. I will text if it changes. She walked toward the entrance without looking back at me for permission. Through the window, I saw her choose the chair with the clearest view of the door. She placed her phone beside the clay and opened the calendar once more. Then she set the phone face down and put both hands on the wheel. I remained close enough to come when she asked. For the first time, I was not holding the pen.